biggest exodus
ever.
any country ever.
Today, the number one stable economy on the planet. Dubai, number one for the ecosystem for business. The Middle East is going to become the
How do you really spot the difference between a credible, reliable broker?
So they have to be good on.
Dr. Anand Manoj. He spent years shaping Dubai's real estate industry as a coach, a leader, and a trusted voice. As CEO of Empowered Performance, he's helped raise the standard of sales performance across the city, and his influence has been recognized with awards across the region. If you are looking for the no-nonsense truth about Dubai's property market, past, present, and future, this is it. Welcome to the No Nonsense Podcast with Matt and Brad.
Dr. Anand, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Matt.
Bradley, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Matt.
So this is the first series. This is the first podcast in the first series of No Nonsense Dubai, where the ultimate aim is to cut through the noise of the real estate market and offer objective guidance to not only investors but also residents as well. Now, Dr. Anand has been in the market for over a long, long time and is a key ambassador for Dubai, and it's a real pleasure to have you on today once again. And for anyone that is interested in the state of the Dubai market, whether that's the past, the present, or the future, these are some of the key topics that we'll be covering off in this next 30 minutes. So first of all, the reality of being a Dubai ambassador in this real estate market. Second of all, is a hot topic at the moment, is the volume of rogue agents in the market that some of you may or may not have experienced. And thirdly is supply versus demand, supply versus growth. And is Dubai overheating, or are we still at the actual infancy stage? And lastly, how does Dubai actually compare price and value-wise to Abu Dhabi and Ras Al Khaimah? So I think one thing that we often talk about in this market is Dubai is now a tier one city.
Correct.
So if we compare Dubai to the likes of London, New York, Singapore, a lot of these other tier one cities are going through their own, certainly a lot of challenges, especially London, where we're originally from. But one thing that a lot of people are noticing at the moment as a huge spotlight on Dubai is it's not priced like a typical tier one city. Do you see Dubai's new tier one city status changing the type of investors and the type of talent that we're attracting?
Well, actually, we've already changed that. In the last 2 years, we've already done that. You can see the government actually now issuing a whole set of different kinds of visas, which are actually focusing on certain specialized skill set categories, not just the investors getting the golden visas. So we got environment specialists having 10-year visas. We now have certain talents which we are attracting those people. So we already know for the last 2 years that has changed. That's the first thing. Second thing is, as a tier one city today, I believe Dubai is now currently competing to draw away not just the talent. Today we compete in terms of multiple disciplines with most of these cities. When you talked about the Londons, the New Yorks, the Singapores, all of them, our biggest benefit at this point of time, that is the first attraction that comes to investors from other parts of the world, is tax-free. Because the reason I'm saying investor first will come to the homeowners, because the investors are in for returns, right? So in any of the cities that you name, none of them are tax-free. So already my rate of return is very low. It can be anything from 2.4% to 4.8%, whether you're talking New York, whether you're talking London, or you're talking Singapore. And then that is taxed heavily. Here we have no tax at all. So putting the money into a property here actually gives you almost 3 times what you could get as a return because no taxes and because it's a higher rate of return every year. So for an investor, it's a gold mine. It's also a gold mine not just because it is tax-free. There is a sheer demand, not only in terms of owning the property. We are going to be the third most powerful tourist city on the planet, as well as number 3 on retail. So the footfall is very, very high in the city. See, it's one thing to be tax-free, but the second thing is to generate the revenue in the first place. So we are in a position where we are actually short of the homes, and even in holiday home categories, we are having a massive increase in demand. So I think for an investor, both of these make perfect sense because one, there is huge potential, therefore the revenue growth is much higher, and then all of that is tax-free. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer for an investor to want to come into this city. Now, when you look at the homeowners who are coming into the city, who are also catching the eye of the investor because they're coming in early into off-plan, and they will find the home buyer, the second buyer, close to completion. So they are catching the eye. Safety, we're one of the top 5 on the planet today. Cleanliness, number 1 in the world. Ecosystem for business, we are number 1 for the last 4 years. The GEMS report, Global Entrepreneur Monitor report, puts Dubai number 1 on the planet for the ecosystem for business. So people are coming in here. They want to set up their companies. 30 plus free zones, zero bureaucracy in the governments. You don't even have to show up in a free zone to apply for a license. You can do everything online. Today, access to money, AI, in the governance of the city, everything has made it so easy for people to set up companies. We have 192 of the Fortune 500 companies have all got their regional head offices in Dubai. The highest number of millionaires migrating is to Dubai. 9,800 millionaires this year alone is going to come into Dubai. The US is second at 7,500. So we can see that there are multiple reasons why even the families are relocating. Safety, healthcare, education. According to the Dubai education agenda, the E33, we will be one of the top 10 student cities in the world. And so the families, we are ticking every box for them to be able to come in here. We are culturally very open and friendly, non-biased towards any particular religion. We are extremely welcoming. We do not make it hard. For example, if I had to buy property in the US today, I can buy it from here, but I will not get a residence. It's as simple as that. Here it's the other way around. There are certain other countries where, for example, in Singapore, if you bought a property, you cannot buy another property for 5 years. You needed special permission and approvals from the government to do that. Here, if you have the money and you can invest, you can pick up 200 properties. We don't have a problem with that. Land is not easy for you to buy in certain countries because they're keeping it for the local populations. Here, it's the other way around. You can pick up plots, you can pick up properties, you can pick up commercial. There is no restriction on any kind of property. So we actually are operating in a free market, which is what has attracted a lot of people to come to the city. In addition to that, you have, or we are today, the number 1 stable economy on the planet, according to the US World and News reports. We beat Switzerland now 2 years running. Everybody today wants a stable economy, particularly with what's happening right now in the world. The economies are all volatile. Liquid cash is actually very volatile right now. So people are transferring it into hard assets like properties or gold, things like that. So Dubai is ticking every box at this point for people. And that's the reason why, even though we may be coming in slightly undervalued right now, this position that we are in is going to grow even stronger. We have to be real about it. Prices will go up. They have to go up, which is exactly why if you think of a property, you come in now. You can come in later. We'll have inventory for you, but you will pay more. So as a top tier city today, I think Dubai is going to be driving the model for growth in the future for the rest of the world. It's definitely not London, Singapore, New York, Mumbai, Shanghai. They've all taken a back seat because all of them, they've had their run historically. They never prepared for the future. They never planned. I don't see a single city that is publishing 10-year plans, 15-year plans, 45-year plans. We have actually put it out there, and if you watch every announcement that's coming out, every new project that's getting launched, every infrastructure development, it will always be in line with the Dubai Economic Agenda 2033. Sheikh Mohammed announces this, or the RTA is starting to develop 3 new flyovers to reduce travel time, to cut it from 26 minutes to 4 minutes or 12 minutes in areas. All of this is aligning with that plan, with the agenda. So as a top tier city today, I don't see any city that can really hold a candle to us. The cities that remain in the top tier cities today are the ones that are holding on to the back end of their glory runs. They're at the back end of it. They're losing that. We are just at the beginning of it. We see something like that now happening in Abu Dhabi. We see some of it in Iraq, and we definitely see something in Saudi Arabia. So today, I think the Middle East is going to become the front runner globally when it comes to investments, quality of life, and even I think future policy making on a global stage. It's going to happen.
I think we witness this on the ground day to day, and it almost feels like a global migration, right? And the volume of inquiries we're having from people for moving, especially in Europe, it's this push-pull effect where what do families want? Lifestyle-wise, they want
safety, security, good education, good healthcare, good infrastructure, tax-free environment, job opportunities.
opportunities.
Yeah, everything. And that's why we're seeing 250,000 families and individuals moving here, right? Because as a customer, their boxes are very well ticked.
Yeah, and they want bigger take-home pay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I don't see many cities offering that the way we are offering it.
Yeah.
We don't take your money. Okay, now I do understand there are benefits that the governments do give, but when you actually look at the kind of benefits that's being given, they don't add up to what is being taken. It will happen in Dubai. It's actually a good thing to talk about, income taxes.
Yeah.
It will come. Okay, anybody who's thinking that it won't come in Dubai is kidding themselves. It is coming, and if you talk to anybody in government, they're very clear about it. It will come. But however, we need to understand something about taxation as well. The thinking of the government drives every kind of policy anywhere on the planet, right? Trump, his thinking drives America. It's always like that. Now, here the thinking is we want to be the best in anything and everything. That's why we're building the best airport. We are having the best ecosystem for business. We want to have the best residential lifestyle. We want everything to be the best. What this also means is when taxes do come, like income tax, we want the best income tax structure on the planet. So by default, that pulls people to you because you're beating the income structures in other cities and countries. Just like we have got the best corporate tax structure in the world because we took the tax structure of Monaco. We have an agreement with the government there. So the whole idea is when it comes, because the government, you want the best city in the world, there is a huge cost on infrastructure. So some of that has to be funded through the taxes. However, with the way the government in the UAE and particularly Dubai thinks, when we do bring in a structure, we will make sure you get the best one on the planet, not in terms of the percentage that you pay, as well as the benefits that you would get because you're paying the taxes. So this is the thing people need to understand, that, okay, if you would not be happy with the fact that income tax could come in the future, please go home.
Yeah.
Okay, go home to a horrible structure and pay a whole lot more with very few benefits actually coming back to you.
So at some point we don't know when it will happen, but when it does, it will still be extremely appealing compared to other cities around the world.
This is important for people to understand. The thinking of the government is when I'm doing everything to have the best in the world, why will I have a horrible tax structure? It does not align with the way we think and build. It's not the model. Dubai is built on the best of everything. Because how do you compete with Sydney? How do you compete with London, with Tokyo? You cannot even give what people are getting there. So there's no motivation for people to leave that and come here. You have to beat those.
Yeah.
So in anything, you have to beat. Today, we are getting some of the top universities in the world in conversations with the government to come into Dubai. They've never moved out of their home countries to any other country on the planet.
I think I heard about you talking about these MIT.
The
Harvard,
MIT is there, and
yeah.
at the moment right now there are a couple of them. There is the Stanfords, or Harvard is not being allowed to go anywhere. But most of them are only in early stock stages. But some of the Indian institutes, the IIMs, the management institutes, basically we've been providing the thought leadership to the world from those. They're all coming in. They're in advanced stages of discussion with Dubai. So we can see this coming up. At the moment, we are number 72 in terms of the top education cities in the world. In 8 years' time, Sheikh Mohammed's goal is to put us into the top 10 on the planet. And the reason this is important is we know that when people usually travel abroad and study, most of them stay back. They don't come home. So what ends up happening is we have contributed already a lot of money into the economy of those countries and cities. Now the intellectual capital is strengthened in those countries, not back home. So thought capital is being built. So Sheikh Mohammed's vision here, the Dubai education agenda, is to build thought capital. You want the future thinking leaders of the planet to come out of Dubai. That is why we're going to have global education events. So people would come in just like they came at the expo. They saw Dubai, fell in love, started to buy property. Many went back, talked to families, and they have relocated. Today we will have students coming from around the world here. They will fall in love with city of Dubai. It's impossible not to. They will stay back, these people. So they will become the future leaders of our country. So he's building the intellectual and thought capital of our city. That's the future currency. So easily I can see this happening. You did mention something earlier. I actually did not touch on that in the answer, which was, do we see the type of buyer profiles changing? I think that was a question.
Yeah.
And the answer is yes. If you look at the buyer profiles, it's changing in different ways. The first thing that happened that really helped Dubai was the fact that we got put onto the green list The UAE came onto the green list with the FATF, the Financial Action Task Force. Now, what this meant was there were a lot of serious investors or funds and family institutions who have always had their eye on Dubai because they knew the money was there. But their own internal policies or the regulations from their governments did not allow them to invest in countries which are not on the green list.
Okay.
So they would sit on the sidelines and watch what's happening in Dubai, but they wouldn't come in. In the last 3 years alone, you have some of the biggest institutional funds and family funds who have now come into Dubai, and some are coming into Abu Dhabi. BlackRock was here in January this year. So you're seeing them come in. Now, JP Morgan is coming in here. Julius Baer is here. And then there are so many, the Mittals, the Ambanis from India. All of them are coming with their family offices here. They were never here before. So I'm saying that you're going to see a large amount of foreign direct investments coming from some very serious long-term investors coming into the city. That's the first change that we are seeing. The second change that we are seeing is a lot of countries are emptying out. Germany is coming. Germany was never in the top 10 and they're now there. Italy has entered the top 10. Northern America, Canada, US, they're all looking into Dubai. Singapore's emptying out and they're all coming to Dubai. These buyers were never there pre-COVID.
Even in the last few months, right? With so many Australian people have contacted us, some Canadians, a lot of Germans as well. Now that you think about it,
Yeah, I think it's a real indictment. If you look at the UK are now the second biggest foreign direct investors in Dubai, and
correct.
But the UK is very small population-wise, right? And so I think this year, last year they had 11,500 millionaires and billionaires leave in 2024. This year it's anticipated to be 16,500, which is the biggest exodus
ever,
any country ever,
Yeah.
and which on the other side of the seesaw, it's the UAE that's having this migration of millionaires and billionaires.
And that is the
moving here.
third change in the buyers coming in. You're seeing the millionaires and the billionaires who are starting to come in now. So they were never coming in before. You see, Dubai was just seen as an investor's paradise. Park some money here, make some money and exit with it. Now Dubai is becoming a destination. One of the biggest challenges the UAE had, and Dubai in particular, was money wasn't circulating within Dubai. Dubai was more like a tourist place. So people would come for some time, work here, but the money was going back home. They were buying property, they were investing back home. Or they were coming here, making some money, and then transiting from here to the UK, New Zealand, Canada, Australia. Now it's the other way around. Now we can actually say destination Dubai. The money is coming here and it is being parked here. This is very important. When money is circulating within your economy, you have a strong GDP. The gross domestic product becomes strong. And today, the health of economies and cities is determined by its GDP, not its import. It's the gross domestic product. So when a gross domestic product is strong, it means when external factors are being influenced through a trade war or things like that, your GDP holds you, because you have domestic production. So your reliance on external sources drops significantly. So which definitely helps you in the long run. And today we've got one of the most attractive GDPs on the planet. If you look at our numbers, we know it. We are at 5.1 for this year. World average is at 3.2. So again, very, very strong reason. So you're seeing a very new type of buyer. You're also seeing now, because of the tokenization concept, a new category of buyers. I'm seeing right now a lot of young buyers entering the market. People who never had the opportunity. They just graduated. They're 23, they're 24, 25. They don't see themselves having the 2 million or a 20% to put down $500,000 on property. So for most of these people, they were not into these kind of investments. They ended up typically spending a lot of that money or doing some of it with crypto and trading. Now a lot of these people are, I know people, I know a 22-year-old, she's just become a broker 3 months ago. She's now considering buying property through tokenization because it's 2,000 dirhams. Now that is something I can afford right now. But it gets them into this investment mindset. They feel they're contributing. They feel they own that little bit of Dubai. So this kind of a buyer was never there. And they're also showing up now. And with ChatGPT now in the game, buyers are a lot more discerning, better informed. Granted, all of ChatGPT sources are not the best. But if you are asking them to quote sources in the answers they're giving, you can verify the sources. either way, 80% of accuracy is there with ChatGPT, which is way more than the rogue agents I would talk about in the market. Those guys are operating at a 20% accuracy. So I have a buyer coming in 80% armed against a 20% guy. So there is a huge shift, definitely, in the kind of buyers, their mindsets, and their belief in the city and the future.
Just on that, on the topic of like rogue agents out here, that's something that we talk about quite frequently. What damage do you see these rogue agents having in impacting the market at the moment?
Okay.
It seems to be a lot of them.
Yes. I think right now the biggest damage is probably to the brand Dubai,
Yeah.
because a lot of clients who are coming in, particularly from outside, firstly don't have the right understanding of Dubai. Then they do not understand the dynamic of the industry in Dubai, because most of them are coming from mature markets where there's very, very little off plan.
Yeah.
So they're used to buying ready homes, they're used to working with solicitors, they're used to doing it through mortgages. And when people are buying a home on a mortgage, they're not in a rush. So there is a careful thought process in it, and a lot of them are even first home buyers. They don't get this concept of putting money on sand. They don't understand how 4 buildings can sell out in 3 hours. And they don't understand how people can throw so much money at Dubai with the belief that something is going to be handed over 3, 4, even 5 years later, and they're expecting to have returns at that point. So there's a lot of uncertainty around that. And in the midst of that, when you have people coming in and selling an asset that cannot be seen yet, it's open to so much of speculation and so much of, I would say, I don't know if I can say the word bullshit in here, but anyway, there's a lot of that stuff goes out there. And so people were actually, that's where the image gets spoiled in Dubai. However, my take on this is the people who are really good at what they do, okay, you don't have to worry about them, because those guys actually set you apart. So if I'm an investor and I get 5, 8 calls today, and I get these Mickey Mouses who are calling me, and then you call me. Now that's a breath of fresh air. This person is different. You only have to really worry if everybody in the market is good. Now how do you stand out? Yeah. So as long as you're good at what you do, you will have the edge over them. It's true when you pick up a phone or you start talking to someone, you come under that cloud. It is true because it's there in the market. But you can dispel that in the first 10 seconds because of how you speak. So, and just 8 days ago, I was in India, I was doing an interview on TV. I got a call from a Pakistani investor, a lady from the UK. And she wanted me to speak with her husband who had exposure to property, not necessarily Dubai, but he had it there. And she messaged me saying, can you talk to my husband? Because she really, really wanted to invest in Dubai. Yeah. So I spoke to them from Mumbai, 15 minutes on the call. And that's it. They went ahead and booked it, and they showed me a receipt of the payment that they had done. And they got an amazing opportunity. So what happened is, I'm sure they've done their research. They've spoken with a lot of people because they had met one of those brokers who had given them the Mickey Mouse advice. And so they were torn between which one to take.
Yeah.
Spoke to them for 15 minutes, done, they got it. 3 days later, Khalij Times carried an article about that area which was being advised by the other broker, which is way off into the future in terms of a really good return. And it was so amazing. I just told them, don't touch that area for now because of what your focus is.
Yeah.
Take this. And 3 days later, an article is out in Khalij Times.
I think this is where a lot of brokers out here, they're doing it all completely wrong, in my opinion. There's so many projects and brochures out here, right? And they go guns blazing with a shotgun approach, just pitching products. But if they don't understand the appetite, the risk appetite for the investment of the investor, then they're just stabbing wildly in the dark. So here's a question for you. So how do you spot, advice for investors, how do you really spot the difference between a credible, reliable broker who genuinely has your best interests at heart from an agent who's just trying to push them into doing a deal just to get their commission? What if you could list it, how would you spot the difference?
Okay, there would be a few things that you could actually look at. I think the first thing is, don't just look at the broker, do a quick background check on the agency. Okay, you see, it's not just brokers who could be rogue, right? Okay, let's put it on record. There are some really amazing brokers in the market also, really, really good, but they are in the smaller bunch. About 80 to 85% have no clue what they're doing. Yeah. But agencies fall in the same category. Around 80 to 85% of the agencies are rogue agencies. They're just here sniffing the money. They have no interest to contribute long-term to the Dubai landscape or the economy or the brand. And they really don't care about the final product that's going to be given to someone. I'm just sniffing the money. So there are a lot of those as well. So again, the first thing you got to do is these agencies, you need to fact check them. Today, it is very easy. Dubai is so well connected. Everybody knows someone in Dubai.
Yeah.
It is easy to do a background check on these kind of people. It is easy to even use ChatGPT, which will actually help you with good, credible sources through which you could even ask. I mean, you try this when you go home as an exercise today. Just get onto ChatGPT or any other such app that you're using and just say, give me 5 questions that I could ask to verify if the agency is a credible one in terms of legacy, in terms of performance, and in terms of accuracy of the information that they share with clients. You will get the questions that you can start to ask a broker or the agency before you decide to work with them. So you can pre-qualify today brokers. The second thing you could do is you could say, okay, if I found such a broker, what are the kind of questions I should be able to ask to identify how competent or informed they are on the market? Because there is a lot of knowledge that people need to have. See, it's not just the building or the community. The attractiveness of the project is directly connected to the attractiveness of the city. So they have to be good on trends, global trends, economic trends, the Dubai agendas, the future of the city. They should be able to explain why when the whole world is going south on an economy today, how come Dubai is going north? How come we are smashing old records? They cannot understand it because they've always looked at the West or even the East, the Far East, as being the drivers of economies worldwide. And they're both struggling. The Far East as well as the West, Europe, Northern America, they're struggling. So they don't get this tiny Arab state that is, and with no oil. So it really doesn't make sense to them that people are coming and throwing their money on sand in this kind of place. It worries me, it bothers me. So a good broker has the ability to help you understand this first. So you need to verify the broker. You need to verify the agency also, because it's not necessary that a bad agency is going to have all bad brokers. There could be a few in there that are really good. It's just that the agency is small. They've come in. This became their entry point. They don't depend on the company. They have got their own networking. They do their own lead generation, and they're killing it in the market. They're doing it really, really well. So we need to firstly qualify the agency. Why is qualifying the agency important? As an investor, inventory can become a challenge in Dubai with certain developers. So longevity or at least performance history of an agency gives me the confidence that if there is, for example, a Chelsea Residences by Damac being launched, Rose Hill coming out by Emaar at Dubai Hills, to get inventory in there, it is the relationship and the success stories that have been shared between those agencies and the developers. So I want to make sure that I'm selecting an agency that the agency's leverage is there. I could be a good broker, but if my agency is not a premium member or in one of the clubs with these big players, almost impossible to get inventory.
On that though, we've experienced that quite a lot. We've actually had, because we have really good leverage with some top developers, as you know, right? Like MR, Ellington, and one thing I think really frustrates some brokerages is because they know that they won't be able to get a unit in a particular project or maybe a non-desirable unit versus others, what they then subsequently do is recommend projects that they are more or less at risk, so they're not going to harm their sort of commission. Now for us, we work together with colleagues, but also like co-investors. And the way that we operate is we genuinely recommend what we would buy ourselves, as if someone's like an an actual family member or a friend. And then sometimes we go through periods where there's nothing we recommend, which sometimes people find really perplexing.
Yeah, very alien when we recommend that. But for the right option, you're not talking about buying a car, right? It's potentially deploying your life savings into an investment. We have to get it right, and sometimes it is alien to people when we tell them nothing right now, but wait 2 or 3 months because we've caught whispers and rumours that this is coming up. So be patient and wait, but it'll be worth it in the long run, and people aren't used to that.
Yeah, you see, intent and content, these are the two things. This is how I grew my business. The first thing people have to see is your intent. Okay, and intent can be seen. It's demonstrated firstly when I've taken the time to study my market, to know my city, to position it, to compare it, use hard data, reports. It already shows you my intent. I believe you're important enough, therefore I have equipped myself with this kind of knowledge. So when you come to buy, you come on confidence. But the intent is important first, then content. So that is where they vet the broker. And then they have to vet the agency. Then you got to actually vet the kind of developer and the legacy of the developer. Not every developer is a great opportunity. And again, getting into communities, particularly as investors, because a lot of the people we're working with right now are more investors, few of the homeowners. Investors get super excited with two things. One, they look at average performance numbers and then they might like, okay, 3 years later, 4 years later, this is my average return. And so I can make a great return by then. Especially if I'm on a payment plan, I can get a much higher return on my equity. What they fail to realize, firstly, that's just an average. I need to see whether this particular developer comes within that average or is above it, because an average means there are players above and there are players below. Are they a player below the average? So I don't go with the community average or just the market average. I go very specific with the kind of developer or very, like if it's a master community, how is Damac Hills performing? How does Dubai Hills Estate perform? I take specifically the community. So they need to be careful. Don't just go with market. You cannot just tell people last year prices in Dubai increased on an average by 16.5%. Yes, but that also means some areas had barely 8%. So when you take that and when people work on averages, you will go wrong. The second mistake a lot of them make, and I think the fault lies equally with the buyers as well as those who are selling from here, is you go to a sales center or you get this brochure and you see this beautifully designed master community with a lot of lifestyles in there. But those lifestyles are going to take between 10 to 15 years to actually show up in the community. So you get excited, you buy, you're going to have your cluster or sub-community handed over in 3 to 4 years' time. But in your head, the lagoons are there, the lakes are there, the mall is ready, kids are playing in the parks, everything is ready. There's nothing ready. 3 years later, when you are thinking I can now exit and find an attractive homeowner to come, your units are ready, but they're surrounded by sand and heavy machinery.
We can see this in some areas, like, not to name any, but in Menon, there's a couple of areas like
there
that.
are quite a few communities like that where buyers are really upset. Again, see, I honestly think a buyer cannot shrug off their responsibility and say, I trusted you, you're my broker. Yeah, but you made the millions, it's your money. There's some due diligence you need to do as well. And then, of course, there is us who represent Dubai who have to be, and we have to tell them, listen, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, there's going to be no community like this. That's for sure. However, you need to be aware, if you're planning an exit in 3 years, this is not going to be the one for you. I was talking about that couple in the UK. So when I started, I could see already where the husband was coming from. So I just used a simple sentence. It's a great one to use. I just asked this client, I won't take names, yeah? So I just said, listen, do you want me to talk to you as an advisor today or as a broker? Now, he's not heard that question before. Who do you want to talk to you today? An advisor or a broker? What do you mean? As an advisor, I'm telling you, don't touch that area. As a broker, I'll tell you, no problem. I'll arrange it for you. I'll put you in front of the developer. Let's sign it. Who do you want today? So silence on the other side and then advisor. I said, then don't touch it. So I think the intent is really, really important. So this is really important. In everything, promises that are made, whether a broker is making to you or a salesperson, ask for it on an official email. This is the advice to investors. If someone tells you, yeah, you're going to get this kind, yes, there are 2 parkings included, whatever it may be, give it to me on an official email. So this is very, very important, because suddenly it's not in the SPA and then you're going back and forth and then they'll say, we can't put this in an SPA, but we will send you an email, just sign the SPA and send it back, and then the email will not come. So you want to be very, very careful about that, because 3 years later, 4 years later, the salespeople you engaged with, even the CRM people you were talking to might be gone. So the paper needs to remain. But it must come from official email IDs. I think that's important.
Okay. As always, brilliant insights. Your time is extremely valuable. And personally, for me, I've learned a lot from you in the last few years, Matthew as well. And,
likewise.
Yeah, in the background. Your knowledge, your podcasts, your YouTubes are always very insightful. So thank you for coming, and let's look forward to the next one.
Thank you for having me, Brad. Matt.
Pleasure.
Thank you.